Good morning, everybody. It's Tracy from the Cayuga County Chamber of Commerce. We apologize for the late start this morning. With virtual events, there's always technical difficulties, but I think, worked through them now, and we're ready to get going. This morning, we have Chairwoman of the County Legislature, Aileen McNabb-Coleman, with us to present the State of the County for Cayuga County 2020. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to hand it right over to you, Aileen. So go for it.
Good morning, Tracy. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We did have some technical difficulties in chambers. We moved to my office. Those difficulties continued, so here we are. Thank you very much for waiting it out. Appreciate it. So good morning. I'm very excited to share the state of the county with you today. As Tracy said, my name is Aileen McNabb-Coleman. I'm the chair of the legislature. I'm very proud to serve the county in this capacity. I want to thank the Chamber and Tracy Barrier for hosting the event today. Today's presentation will cover the county's COVID response, updates on some of our departments, and future initiatives of the county. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge and welcome my fellow legislators who may be watching today and county staff. It's your support and partnership that allows us to plot a course and direction. Oops, hang on a second. I lost us. Hang on just a second. Here we go. And thank you. We must remember that without you, literally nothing happens in the county. So thank you for your work and your service to our county. So the county legislature is comprised of 15 legislators. We had 3 newly sworn in legislators in 2020. We have Hans Petcher from Genoa, Tricia Kerr from Auburn, and Heidi Nightingale from Auburn. So we welcome them to our team this year, which has been great. The initial training you're provided as chair of the legislature or as a county executive are 3 tiers of emergency management training. In January, I completed a couple trainings, and then I had one in Albany in February. We discussed flooding, significant snowstorms, water quality issues, drought, earthquake, and terrorism. They were all issues that previously required state declarations or local declarations of states of emergency in counties. So I was prepared for my role as county leader for these events should they arise. I had the contacts, I understood the process, and honestly, I did hope we would never have access to resources. So we had about 10 weeks of charting a progressive course in the county. We worked on building partnerships with the hopes of accomplishing a full agenda. And we wanted to highlight the county's ability to move forward this year. It was a new decade. We were very full of excitement. But what was to come was best described as a slow burn by our regional representatives from Homeland Security and Emergency Services. It was not, though, the emergency that required the normal tactical response or rescue of FEMA trailers. This was altogether different. As we watched New Rochelle, New York become a hotspot with the first patient testing positive on March 1st, it appeared that the slow burn was miles away. Then COVID began rolling across the state. By March 14th, I issued my first executive order to declare a state of emergency in Cayuga County and following school closed. And worst crisis had upon us. And we had to quickly determine who we were going to accommodate families with school-aged children, as well as reduce our own workforce presence to 50%. Fortunately, our departments stepped up and accepted the challenge. We had to learn to achieve a level of flexibility that we had never had to before. Department by department, decisions were made, and we achieved a much lower than 50% presence in our buildings. I'm grateful for the leadership in the county during those early days. The county created our own safety plan and have implemented screening measures at our county buildings. And this continues to become more and more streamlined as we are in for the long haul, presumably. Sorting through executive orders and working with the community on safe best practices ruled the day. You can believe today is day number 159 of the COVID pandemic in New York State. Then came plans for reopening. As your county leader, I've been working hard to advocate for the needs of our community with testing supplies and personal protective equipment to ensure testing capabilities and safe reopening. This has been ongoing. I have formed partnerships with the Governor Cuomo's office, Central New York regional leaders from Onondaga, Madison, Oswego, and Cortland counties, our members from the New York State Assembly, our New York State Senate members, as well as partnerships with our U.S. senators and House of Representatives. We've kept the lines of communication open and consulted and collaborated. Oh, hang on, just lost this. What happened? Sorry, technical difficulties. We still continue. Between our counties and the regional control group, we've even shared PPE and testing supplies and advocated for one another. These partnerships have had a significant impact on meeting the needs of our community, and I will continue this effort. As a member of the regional control group, I will work with the team. I do work with the team daily and advocate for healthcare, business, and now we are advocating for education. I want to share a special thank you for local businesses and organizations. I especially want to thank Clear Plastics for their help on several occasions, Cooper Electric, Budweiser, Tessie Plastics, Hillrom, Willett Dairy, Wells College, and even my first employer, Donovan Luxa, who was able to really help us out in a pinch here in the county. I apologize if there are others I did not mention. We've also received boxes and homemade face masks donated by residents as well as from Mackenzie Childs. For all of your efforts, I thank you so much. As a member of the Central New York Regional Control Room, our metrics are reviewed closely every single day. Please go to forward.newyork.gov to see the regional dashboard and stay up to date on the infection rate in our 5-county region. So here are the metrics from August. We had 2,808 test results returned on that day. 13 of those were positive. So our infection rate is at 0.5%. And a rate below 1% is the target for safely opening schools and businesses. So we experienced a lag in getting test results, so they're all coming in, so larger groups at this point. So as long as our infection rate is low, we can keep working on entering into phases or sub-phases, I guess is where we're on now. If you own and operate a business that is open during this pandemic, you must go to forward.newyork.gov to read and attest to your industry-specific guidelines and create a safety plan to keep on site. Please submit your attestation and it will be added to the list of CNY businesses prepared to open and remain open safely. As of yesterday, August 5th, 305 business affirmations were confirmed in Cayuga County. Thank you all for going through that process and for your diligence in maintaining safe business practices for all of our county residents. I want to talk to you today about the county public health response to COVID. Public Health Director Kathleen Cuddy and her staff have been working around the clock since mid-March. I continue to work very closely with Kathleen and the health department as we are now looking toward enforcement of executive orders that have been mandated to counties. Formal response and preparation by the Cayuga County Health Department began with the first commissioner's call on Saturday, February 1st. Press releases beginning March 10th, 2020 to present amount to 137. In those press releases, we share information on prevention, numbers of new cases, clinic times, and MAP updates. Public clinics began on March 17th, and we've had 45 to date. Scheduling, specimen collection by staff wearing personal protective equipment and calling patients with results have been the bulk of all the activity happening at the health department. The number of people tested at county operated clinics to date is 1,986. Some stats for your information. Isolation cases beginning March 18th to July 31st were 141 COVID patients. Also, a stat here is quarantine cases amounted to 443. Those are people with possible or suspected exposure to COVID. Precautionary quarantine cases were 42. And just to give you some background, if someone is in isolation, they're in there for about 10 days on average. Quarantine is an average of 14 days. The health department requires an intake assessment. It takes about 30 minutes or longer if the language is other than English. They monitor daily with health assessments. They deliver signed public health orders to isolate. They also conduct drive-by visits, and they deliver paperwork back and forth to any suspected cases or actual cases of COVID. So our health department has been working incredibly hard. We have not actually added any staff. So this staff has been worn out, and they're doing the best they can. And they still come in invigorated, and they are excited to serve the community in this way. So we're very fortunate here in Cayuga County to have such a strong health department. I'd like to focus now on our County Emergency Management Office. This has been a critical office to the COVID response. Amy Russett is our new Director of Emergency Management. She joined us in November 2019. Amy and her team has a critical role in the COVID response. Upon the news of the spread of COVID, Amy, Kathleen Cuddy, and myself formed a coalition. We were in contact several times a day, every single day, understanding and preparing for what was ahead. She's been instrumental in obtaining supplies and distribution. Her office has been reaching out to local businesses to distribute hand sanitizer and masks to businesses, churches, and other community members. Our emergency management office, when we're not in a crisis, they continue to support the county fire and EMS agencies. They work on emergency planning, grant facilitation, special operations teams, fire and EMS training, and other emergency communications. They also worked on PPE distribution and delivery, nation coordination, receipt and distribution. They also delivered shelf-stable food and coordinated that across the county. They work on state guidance communication to all county stakeholders. They hold weekly first response communication calls. They work with nursing homes and adult care facilities for fit testing and guidance communication and fit testing of N95 masks. They do first responder fit testing for masks, and they work very closely with New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. Budget uncertainty during COVID has been an underlying concern since the beginning of March. Due to the sharp decline in sales tax, the reduction of workforce mandate, and the additional $600 unemployment available through the CARES Act, the county enacted furloughs for 3 months, and we just welcome back our staff. We're beginning our 2021 budget discussions and are advocating for the continued federal aid to municipalities. Some good news, there is enhanced federal reserve for Medicaid expenditures from January through June 2020. That will result in approximately $1 million in county savings. Out of 57 counties, 16 have a slight uptick in sales tax. Cayuga County is one of those counties. For January through June of 2020 over 2019, we're up 1.1% over last year. To compare with other counties in New York State, we are performing well. New York City is down 17%, and the rest of the state is cumulatively down 8.4%. that gives some indication of how the behaviors of our county residents have been through this pandemic. And this is all very good for our business. This is the first year that internet sales are included in the payments. And due to COVID, we're projecting that internet sales are helping the sales tax revenue. Local businesses have been creative in using online sales for their business during this time. I, for one, appreciated this effort as I was able to order gifts and necessities locally with delivery options and or contactless pickup. Please continue to support local businesses in the county. This is a very great thing for our county to be able to utilize this year, especially during this pandemic. Although the county has been closed to the public, our DMV and clerk's offices open by appointment. Our DMV staff was working this entire time, processing transactions for taxpayers while COVID shut down the department being closed down, as well as all state DMV offices were all closed. In July, our DMV processed 6,295 transactions in person, by drop off at the front door, and by mail. We are having great success with people using our online appointment system. It's easy, and 99% of the feedback mentioned was that they felt safe at their appointment and there was no waiting line. Many commented, "We hope this is how our DMV will continue to operate in the future." To make an appointment, you can go to the county website, which is cayugacounty.us, or you can go to cayugacountydmv.setmore.com. If you don't want to make an appointment, most DMV transactions can be done drop off or mail, and the detail also on the website under the Department of Motor Vehicles page. Even though we've really, everything, has shut down and we've been doing the best we can, we're still able to serve the public in this capacity with our DMV, so we're very, very pleased. And that is another department that has been stretched and has been worked very hard. Again, they also went through furloughs in that department and continued to achieve the transaction rate that they were able to. So we'll go to our 911. We had a separation of staff between 911 centers, and they showed us their ability to accommodate with constantly changing times. At the onset of the pandemic, the backup center, which is located in the basement of the county office building, was utilized. We wanted to split the dispatchers from the County House Road location in case there was potential spread. We certainly didn't want to wipe out this extremely essential staff for our community. So they transitioned and they continue to operate effectively. So I want to thank them for all their efforts. And here you have the picture of them saying that they're working hard for us, so please wear a mask, which I can't stress enough. So they have done a great job. County Sheriff's Office. We had one staff member from the Sheriff's Office contract COVID early on. However, we've had no further cases. Initially, their facility was locked down and they've reopened their lobby and to the public and allowed service providers back into the jail. Sheriff Brian Skank and I are working on Executive Order 203, which is New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative. We'll be soliciting public feedback and holding many meetings between now and next April. So I'm excited to begin these plans in order to provide the community with the most effective police force that we possibly can. Sheriff Skank continues to work with local social justice organizations to build bridges. Ongoing work and partnerships with Healing Community Study and initiatives to combat drug abuse, including Shed the Meds and drug take-back events. The sheriff also hosts Narcan training at the jail. And there's addiction treatment and peer support in the jail, partnering with CHAD, working to link those impacted by addiction with local resources. And the Sheriff's Office is currently working on updating policies and procedures and working to obtain agency accreditation through New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services. I wanted to touch on Cayuga County Department of Social Services and Mental Health. Both departments remained open, and the staff did an incredible job under the most difficult and challenging circumstances. Demand for services reached an all-time high during these safety net departments. We have such gratitude for the leadership teams at both departments that have met daily to problem solve and figure out how to get through the day's challenges. This could have never been done without them, and they're still working to meet the demand. A special thank you to foster parents who had to manage to stay home with kids, their education, and maintaining communication with the child's family of origin. Despite all these challenges, not one placement was disrupted and everyone stayed safe. We saw a significant increase, 128 in 1 month alone, in SNAP cases as the economy cratered and our neighbors lost their jobs. Many never needed services before, and we were proud that we were able to be there to serve them. For mental health, while we experienced a significant increase in overdose deaths and suicides as the social and support systems went into lockdown, our mental health clinics stayed open and available, using in-person, tele-audio, and televideo to stay connected with patients. These are the services the county delivers. It's a 24/7, 365 operation. Our services were very valuable during this time of crisis for families and individuals with varying needs. I want to thank the staff and the supervisors of the county DSS and mental health. They have worked, again, without skipping a beat, they've worked straight through this crisis and done the very best job. So I just had a really great interaction with our county IT department getting set up for this event today. So actually I've been referring to IT as the new first responders through this crisis. These were the folks that kept the county running and the staff working in the office and remotely. They provided normal operational support with cybersecurity and strategic planning work. In March and April, they rolled out systems to enable county staff to work from home and have access to telephone service and collaborative systems not previously implemented. They were able to leverage 2019 and 2020 investments in mobile devices, notebook computers, a newly purchased cloud-based phone system, which included the ability to provide the county with video collaboration and messaging, as well for public-facing video and online legislative meetings. In addition to rolling out over 120 notebook computers as replacements for old desktop systems, IT deployed the 8x8 unified communications tools, which include phone, messaging, video conferencing to all county staff and legislators. We definitely could not have survived this pandemic operationally if not for the work of IT. So I thank them for their service. And there's been a lot going on here at the county through this whole crisis. I want to talk to you a little bit about real property. With the help of county IT, real property successfully transitioned to working 100% remotely within 24 hours. The staff designed, implemented new workflows to ensure complete continuity of department operations indefinitely. They were able to work with 911 to streamline and improve the 911 addressing process to make it easier for the public to make requests for county staff to process them. Real Property and the Treasurer's Office canceled the tax auction this year and worked with the courts to give property owners more time to pay their taxes and keep their property out of foreclosure. They were able to complete data collection for the Springport assessment. They sent out data mailers for property owners and provided inventory feedback and verification. So Real Property is a great example of one of our departments who was able to work remotely, 100% of that department, and they've continued to work very hard in our county and work collaboratively with other departments. It's a nice picture of Jim Orman. He's our county treasurer. For their COVID response, the staff worked remotely as possible. The tax collection has continued through online payments, drop box at the entrance of the Cayuga County office building, and through the mail. Payroll benefits have continued with remote work and utilizing direct deposit and withdrawal. And moving forward, the office has structured allowing for social distance when we welcome the public back in, and that will be by appointment. Treasurer's office will continue to accept payments through the website, Dropbox, and mail. The website has been updated with information to allow for installment payments, delinquent payments, and current tax due. As far as tax collection, it has remained steady and on par with prior year's collections, and processes continue to be examined to look for efficiencies. I want to thank the Treasurer's Office for being flexible at this time and continuing to work through this crisis. I know I'm probably moving very quickly, but I don't want to keep everyone today. Next, I wanted to share with you what's been happening with Cayuga County Office of the Aging. During a crisis, the concern turns to our most vulnerable population. Brenda Wyman and her team have seamlessly provided for the seniors in our community. I'm currently working with Brenda to expand her office space in order to safely accommodate seniors and their families. I want to share with you some information about Meals on Wheels. Over 27,500 meals were served from March 1st to June 30th. And that's a 12% increase from this same time a year ago, to give you some indication of how we are actually in the community and getting out there. That is a huge, huge increase. They delivered over 380 emergency food boxes to our program participants. And those boxes included shelf-stable foods that they could have on hand. They had a surge of new volunteers to accomplish all of this work. They answered well over 600 phone inquiries, especially in the early days, as they helped seniors navigate how to obtain groceries and other necessities without leaving home. They assisted many, many individuals to apply for SNAP and Medicaid and continue Medicare enrollment assistance. They distributed over 8,000 face masks to seniors at multiple drive-through sites. They continue to distribute farmers market coupons to eligible seniors and at drive-up sites throughout the county. If you are ever looking for a volunteer activity for you personally, for your staff, or as a team building opportunity, Meals on Wheels is a great service to our community. So I thank the Office of the Aging, and I really thank the volunteers. Next, we want to touch on human resources. They're continuing to increase the number of groups that we're reaching out to electronically with our exams and vacancy notices. Once things open up, they're prepared for the community outreach events to make it easier to get online and apply through QR codes. So we're trying to make sure that we are casting a wide net for all of our opportunities here at the county. I wanted to welcome our newest employees. Kelly King is the new Director of Employment and Training with the county. And Harrison Sherman is the Deputy for Emergency Management. And he just came on a few months ago as well. So I want to welcome them to Cayuga County. Next, I do want to talk about, as I mentioned, Kelly King. She's the new director for the Employment and Training Department. In Employment and Training, there's a team of 6 individuals that work collaboratively with other agencies at American Job Center called the Cayuga Career Center, located at Cayuga Community College. American Job Centers are designed to provide a full range of employment and training services to job seekers as well as businesses. The center is authorized by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA Act, and offers training opportunities, youth employment programs, career counseling, job search assistance, job referrals, employer and other employment services. They're continuously looking to serve our job seekers, businesses, and community members. Employment and training will be open to the public by appointment within the next few weeks. I want to commend the new director, Kelly King, for her work through this crisis. She's assumed the role. She actually assumed the role as interim during this process. And then we have just newly created her in the deputy position. So she has kept everything going. And of course, this department will play a huge role moving forward in trying to match businesses with folks out there looking for for employment as well as upgrading possible training needs. So as we go through these departments, I wanted to also touch on the county probation department. Due to the COVID pause and the closure of courts, our current case numbers are low. It's to be anticipated that as the courts return to the normal level of activity, the workload will definitely increase. The challenge with COVID was to maintain communication and efficiency administratively, and perhaps more importantly, to effectively interact with all the individuals assigned to the caseloads, and to, in the highest level, maintain community safety. And this is the place where IT also played a role. They helped probation staff. They were able to help probation staff establish connectivity and allow a high level of efficiency during this time. I want to thank everyone with the county probation department. So moving on from our departments, and I wanted to, in reflection, I wanted to highlight what everything that has been going on with our departments, to let you know that although we were closed, we have been very busy, and folks have been really stepping up and performing in a way that they never have. So I want to share that with you. I want to celebrate all of the work that's being done, but I just wanted to let you know that these are the services that the county provides, and they're very important, and we're going to continue to do the very best we can to ensure effective service delivery. The next slide is a picture of our chambers, and I wanted to share with you some legislative priorities for 2020. This year and so far, we've disbanded the Public Works Department, and we've reset the structure back to a Highway Department and a separate Buildings and Grounds Department. And we are currently searching for a new highway superintendent. If you know anyone, you can go to our county website to see the postings. One important thing that we kicked off the year with, and it's something that I find to be very important and moving forward, is establishing a capital planning committee and doing capital planning. Discussions with partners include the City of Auburn and Cayuga Community College. We put those on hold in March, so we will resume them this fall. So we must assess our needs and make decisions on the future of our buildings here in the county. So over the next few weeks, we will resume these conversations, and I'm very hopeful that we're going to chart a course forward for capital planning. We have some important decisions to make, and we need to actually make them. I think we're ready. The Cayuga County Legislature has diversity goals. We're developing a committee to address our internal cultural competency. This committee will access and assess various diversity trainings and inclusive practices for county leadership, as well as for our employees. The current, hold on. The current Cayuga County Ethics Board and its policies are going to be reviewed and revised. So a committee is also working on that initiative. There's a group comprised of legislators, representatives from the Department of Social Services, the City of Auburn, and other community-based organizations that are assisting the county in addressing the challenges of homeless population and the homeless vulnerable. So we're going to be talking a lot about housing and making sure that our homeless vulnerable are taken care of to the highest degree. And that also was born out of this COVID time and our concern. The Water and Sewer Authority for Cayuga County, they have a strategic plan to provide a second source of water for the county. This is a very important plan to our county and to economic development, especially in the south of the county. The legislature approved funds for the final engineering work. So Cayuga County will continue to support all efforts in this project and its accomplishments in terms of finding a second source, and then upgrading infrastructure. Cayuga County will also continue to support all efforts in the protection and preservation of water quality, including our continued support for the updating of the watershed rules and regulations for Wasco Lake. The Census Complete Count Committee is comprised of the county. We are leading that committee initiative. Please share with your community of neighbors, friends, and employees to get the word out, especially to residents who fall under the hard to count status. A more complete count for Cayuga County enables the amount of federal funds that flow into our community every year and for the next decade to increase. The funds allocated for Head Start, infrastructure, and education are affected by the census. So please make sure that you've responded today if you haven't. If you go to 2020census.gov, you'll get the information you need there in order to submit your response. Cayuga County continues to support renewable energy, and we're continuing to support solar projects in the county. And the last point for our priorities in 2020, we're going to continue to reimagine county workflow and government practices as a result of COVID. So in the months ahead, we're going to be continuing to reflect and plan. And in those plans, flexibility is going to be the theme. We need to be flexible wherever possible for our over 700 employees during this education and daycare crisis that's going to continue through this pandemic. So that is the priorities that we are continuing to work on. Some of them we planned for it, some we haven't. So we continue to be dynamic and roll with the change here. And we just want to continue doing the very best we can for the residents of this county. When we discuss water quality, there's a lot of organizations here that the county supports in order to preserve our water quality in the county. The Cayuga County Water Quality Management Agency is a resource to the county legislature for all water-related issues, for all water bodies in the county. The WQMA, as we refer to it, they have specific working groups on invasive species, sediment, nutrients, and communications. A separate group is the Wasco Lake Watershed Management Council. This is specific just to Wasco Lake. They're beginning to promote a consistent messaging around lake-friendly living. Watershed residents interested in taking a pledge to commit to land and water stewardship can visit their website at olwmc.org, Wasco Lake Watershed Management Council.org. Those who take the pledge will receive lake-friendly signage to help encourage others within the watershed community to also take the pledge. So I'm very proud of this accomplishment from the Management Council. I too am a member of the Management Council, as I have been for the past 5 years, and we have certainly grown. And it's good to see this campaign moving forward. Within the Management Council, we have the Inspection and Protection Division. And it's growing a focus on recognition. We're spotlighting conservation farming practices to help encourage continued process through the watershed community. So there's a lot going on to continue to protect our water quality, again, in all bodies of water, as well as our Wasco Lake, the source of our drinking water. The county received a grant to incorporate the Environmental Protection Agency's 9 elements into the Wasco Lake Watershed Management and Waterfront Revitalization Plan. This will help improve the water quality within the Wasco Lake watershed. 9 element plans identify and quantify sources of pollutants, determine water quality goals or targets, and the pollutant reductions needed to meet the goal, and describe the actions needed to achieve the reductions that will improve water quality. So the 9E plan, which has been going on for the past several years, will be completed by August of 2021. This is a huge undertaking in order to preserve Wasco Lake As I said before, it's the source of the drinking water for half of the county residents. So it's very important work that's being done here. As we know, we want to keep our bodies of water clean, and especially in the atmosphere of harmful algal blooms, as we see usually this time of year. It is important that we have established this 9E plan and are working toward this goal. Cayuga County Department of Planning and Economic Development is taking the lead to update Wasco Lake Watershed rules and regulations. The project goal is to update and revise the 1984 Wasco Lake Watershed rules and regs through thoughtful and engaged public participation, resulting in effective and equitable watershed regulations to help improve and protect and preserve water quality within the watershed to benefit current and future generations. I will say the 1984 rules and regs were maybe 2 pages. So I was part of this steering committee to update these watershed rules and regs. This great process with a lot of public input. So we're heading toward the end of this. The next step is the circulation to the stakeholders and the general public and adoption by the City of Auburn and the Town of Wasco at a joint meeting. So this has been a long process again. We're happy that it's nearing the end. And I want to thank everyone for their hard work in this process. Cayuga County, we've received 2 New York State Department of State local waterfront revitalization grants. One is for the village of Cayuga and one is for the town of Sterling and the village of Fairhaven. These grants are being implemented by the Cayuga County Department of Planning and Economic Development. The Waterfront Revitalization Plan is both a land and water use plan prepared by a community, as well as the strategy to implement the plan. Completing the program can significantly increase the community's ability to attract appropriate development that will take advantage of, but also respect the unique cultural and natural characteristics of its waterfront. Presenting a unified vision for the waterfront also increases the community's chances to obtain public and private funding for waterfront projects. These are huge projects here going on, and we are very excited that we've received the grants to improve these 2 areas. Another area of that plays a huge role in protecting the health of Wasco Lake is the Wasco Wetland Restoration and Riparian Buffers Project. Cayuga County has received 2 New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Green Innovation Grant Program grants for the Wasco Flats Wetland Restoration and Riparian Buffers Initiative. This project is located in on City of Auburn-owned land off New York State Route 38 in the town of Moravia. The Wasco Inlet is being reconnected with its floodplain with water control structures so that during high flow, water will flow into created and existing wetlands and filter out nutrients and sediments. The riparian buffers will also be added along drainage ways and the Wasco Inlet to further reduce nutrients and sediment inputs. Overall, the project will reduce phosphorus and sediment that reaches the Wasco Lake while improving habitat for invertebrates, reptiles, amphibians, and birds. Phase 1 built 2 basins in 2019, and Phase 2 will be a 3rd basin, as well as vernal pools and hummocks. Woodstone earth construction has been hired and will begin construction this summer. This is a huge project, a very long-awaited project. Our environmental engineer here, Bruce Natalie, has done an incredible amount of work on this project, as he has done over the many years. So we're excited to see these come to life. Some other exciting news, $964,000 Phase 1 project was funded by leveraging county funds with Environmental Protection Fund grant and contribution by the Emerson Foundation. So this scope includes a new pedestrian pathway that links 3 corners of Deauville Island to Emerson Park, including a pedestrian bridge linking the island to White Bridge Road, and landscaping along the Wasco Outlet Channel. Construction began in fall 2019 and is scheduled to be finished in September. So current delays are due to the pandemic. So this is exciting change in Wasco and on Emerson Park. So we're very excited to see this change. And it's also a long-awaited change. In addition to those changes, Cayuga County Department of Planning and Economic Development is working with Phase 1 landscape architects Trowbridge Wolf Michaels to further design the island to be an active center for Emerson Park. The scope and design include a destination playground in the northeast quadrant of the island, an open-air concert venue for the southwest quadrant. Dan Smalls Presents, a concert promoter out of Ithaca, has also been retained as a sub-consultant to provide expertise of design and functionality of the concert venue. So this project is the first step in implementing the Emerson Park programming plan completed by Biederman Redevelopment Ventures in December 2019. The plan lays out a roadmap to activate Deauville Island and increase park visitation and generate revenue through the concerts, events, and other programming initiatives. The design team is currently moving through the initial design phase, and we look forward to final plans and cost estimates to keep this local and regionally significant project on track. So again, very exciting to see tangible change. I know as a representative of Wasco and having been raised in the city of Auburn, you hear often the experiences of long ago Emerson Park, and folks are curious as to, what can we do up there? When are things going to change, and when can we have more activity at the park? And I will say, in the past few years, planning department as well as the legislature, we are committed to offering more activities at the park in order to increase visitation and increase revenue. So we're very excited about this. Another project that we're very excited about, and I know many people have visited for the first time during this pandemic, is the Sterling Nature Center up in Sterling, New York, the top of the county. Sterling Nature Center is a beautiful place to visit, and you can explore the trails and the ponds, and then you can also walk along Lake Ontario shore. So the Sterling Nature Center is currently designing improvements on several components of the preserve, including trail repairs, green technology innovations to expand and improve the parking lot, and a new 5,000 square foot interpretive building. The improvements build off Sterling Nature's functional management plan and the Sterling Nature conceptual design from 2019. Funding is being provided by multiple sources. The Governor's Resiliency and Economic Development Initiative, or the READY money, is contributing over almost $4 million. An EPF grant administered by New York State Office of Parks and Rec, the Historic Preservation, is also contributing almost $250,000. And matching funds from the Sterling Nature Center Reserve Account and Economic Development Account have been added also. So these funding opportunities allow the county to transform the Sterling Nature Center into a modern, resilient, and environmentally responsible educational and recreational amenity. Design began in spring 2020, and the construction start date is projected for March 2021. This is all very exciting celebrations within the county. So we have some changes to expect here in Emerson Park and Wasco, and then at the top of the county in Sterling Nature Center. As I mentioned before, legislative priorities include accessing renewable energy where possible. So I wanted to share with you a couple of solar projects. The Abundant Solar Energy Project at the County Natural Resource Center on County House Road in the town of Senate has been approved and permitted by the town of Senate to authorize with a 25-year land lease for project development by the Cayuga County Legislature. Following anticipated construction and startup in 2021, clean and renewable solar energy produced on vacant and underutilized county land will be made available through Abundant Solar at competitive rates to all residents of Cayuga County. We're very excited to see this project come underway. The next project that we'll be discussing, the Garnet Energy Center Solar Installation Project in the town of Conquest at approximately 2,000 acres and one of the largest private sector solar farms in the region is currently under initial review with the New York State Public Service Commission Board on electric generation siting and environment. If the process proceeds as scheduled, it may be approved for construction in 2021. And this is a huge project for this region. And as we said, the largest private sector solar farm in the region. So this is going to be very exciting. And I'm sure you'll be hearing more of this as we move forward. As mentioned before, the Cayuga County Water and Sewer Authority is charting a course for water and sewer infrastructure needs for the next 20 years with their regional master plan. And Cayuga County is supporting this effort and will continue to update the public on its process. Another agency that's associated with the county is the Cayuga County Soil and Water Conservation District. It's the primary local agency that assists with oversight of conservation programs and remains the go-to local agency that people turn to. Using the $675,000 county appropriation funding as a base, the Cayuga County Soil and Water was able to bring over $7 million worth of grant funding in 2019. And that is used to plan and implement conservation-related projects throughout Cayuga County. That's the equivalent return of $10.37 per $1 that the county provides, and we invest in county soil and water. They've assisted with the implementation of almost 3,000 acres of cover crops on 15 farms. The cost to implement the soil protecting measures were covered through a combination of New York State grant funding and land order match to the cost of $260,000. To date, in 2020, Cayuga County Soil and Water staff has worked on stabilizing roadside ditches in the town of Niles, Scipio, Fleming, Locke, Venice, Ledyard, Genoa, and Moravia. And to date, 13 miles of road ditches have had vegetative stabilization measures applied. So this agency they are their own county, their own district. They are not a county department, but we do provide that base funding for them to go out and find grants. And they are, as you can see, able to accomplish projects that are especially good for water quality in this region. So I have some slides toward the end of this presentation that are all from Cayuga County. And as we embark on living life in this new normal, the leadership of Cayuga County is determined to continue to evolve and do our part to ensure effective service delivery. We're here to increase the quality of life for our residents, and we are committed to plan for the future of this county. So I want to thank Tracy and the Chamber. I want to thank all of the listeners for your continued investment in Cayuga County. I have a link to the website here, cayugacounty.us. You can visit that website for updates on the information shared today. I want to thank you for your patience this morning with the technical difficulties. And before we embark on this last slide, I wanted to continue to share that the importance of wearing masks in outside of your home, avoiding crowds, and continue to please social distance. The only way to limit the spread is by following those now mandates. We need to keep our infection rate low so we continue to open up the economy. And this is really the only way how that we can get there. I wanted to say before we play this short video at the end of the presentation, it was an absolute pleasure to share the state of the county with you today in this capacity as chair of the county legislature. I'm humbled and honored, as I said, to serve the county in this capacity. And I just want to implore that I would love you to please do your best to stay healthy. Thank you for all of your efforts, also in your continued investment, as I said, in the county.
I have to unmute myself to talk. Thank you, Aileen. I really appreciate all the information that you provided today and for you taking the time to be here. I know you have a million things on your plate right now. We did get one question via email,
Okay.
and it's about the...
Can you hear me, Tracy?
I can, yep.
Okay.
So the question we received via email was about the prisons, and the individual had read a post saying that prisoners are able to receive visitors starting today, and also that buses from New York City and surrounding areas would be allowed to come to Auburn in order to visit. They're just wondering if that's true, and if so, what screening would be done of the visitors prior to arriving in Auburn.
I do not have information on that today. I can certainly find out. We typically, the Department of Community Supervision doesn't, we don't typically connect with them as a county. We certainly have been in consultation with them and the health department through this whole crisis. So I don't know if this was their target day to welcome visitors to the facility. And I'm sure that there is a heavy screening process, but I will look into it.
Thank you. And to that questioner, we'll make sure to get you an answer after the fact. I also know that broadband is on a lot of people's minds right now. Are there any conversations happening at the county level about broadband with the new normal of doing things like this?
Yes. So we did have an update last month in our legislative meeting. Our legislator to the north, Tucker Whitman, reached out to the state broadband office, and mostly because his area has been underserved as well. And they are going to be achieving that in the next couple of months. I guess the project that had been set in terms of getting our county updated is set to be, the goals are set to be met, I believe, in the next couple of months. But we continue to monitor access to broadband. I know that the New Visions initiative, that's what's going to be completed in the next few months. But we have received feedback that people have been served. There were people who were being set up right as this COVID pandemic had hit. So people were reaching out to say, there's a Spectrum truck nearby, or, there's trying to find out what's happening. And I do know people were served just in time, especially for their children to be working on schoolwork from home. So, but we continue to monitor the needs of our county. I know we have a couple of pockets that still require help. So we'll continue to monitor this.
Great. And just a reminder to everybody, again, thanks for sticking with us this morning. And thank you to those of you that did make the contribution to support these events. A reminder to keep shopping local. If you're a business, and you are sending checks to Ohio or Minnesota or Florida, maybe take a second and think about whether or not whatever you're procuring could be procured locally. We'd like to make some additional business to business connections and make sure that our local businesses are supporting each other, as well as keeping any sales tax here in our community that can be kept here. We're not going to have a solution for everything, but take a look at the chamber directory, or if you're not finding what you're looking for, reach out to our CETA staff and we can help to try to find a local option for you to support our local economy and support the services that our government agencies provide during this time when we are seeing having some budget questions, even though it does seem like sales tax in June was in pretty good shape, and July might shape up pretty well too, or we're hoping. So, but keep in mind local procurement and looking for local options in your procurement. And then finally, we do have an update with Congressman John Katko next Thursday at 1 p.m. That will be via GoToMeeting, so you'll be able to either a video conference in with him. And so if you want to hear an update on what's happening with stimulus legislation in Washington, D.C. at that point, that would be a great opportunity for our businesses to get that update. So keep an eye on our website. Registration is available to get that login information. So again, thank you, Aileen, for being here this morning. And if we receive any other questions, I'll make sure to pass them along and we'll try to get some answers for folks.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Tracy, and thank you again for your flexibility this morning.
Yeah, great. So everybody have a great day and we'll see you again soon.